America, often celebrated as a land of freedom and opportunity, has a multifaceted history that includes both its triumphs and its darker moments. Let's explore various aspects of American life, uncovering the less glamorous and often troubling facets of the world's superpower. Number 1. Dirty politics. American politics has always been a battlefield, marked by corruption, manipulation, and controversial decisions from its history to modern times. The American Civil War and subsequent Reconstruction era set a precedent for political maneuvering and ethical breaches. During Reconstruction, political bargaining and corruption were rampant as the South struggled with reintegration into the Union. Voter intimidation and electoral fraud were widespread, undermining the efforts to rebuild and ensure civil rights for freed slaves. The late 19th century saw the rise of political machines like Tammany Hall in New York City, where figures like Boss Tweed wielded immense power through bribery, voter fraud, and patronage, controlling elections and policies with little regard for legality or morality. Fast forward to the 20th century, the Watergate scandal epitomized political malfeasance, with President Richard Nixon's administration engaging in illegal activities to sabotage opponents, leading to Nixon's resignation and leaving a lasting stain on American politics. Today, issues like campaign finance and lobbying continue to challenge the integrity of American democracy, with the 2010 Citizens United ruling allowing unlimited corporate spending in elections, raising concerns about the influence of wealthy interests over political outcomes. The intersection of money and politics reflects a long history of manipulation and power struggles, underscoring the persistent challenges to maintaining a fair and transparent political system. Number 2. Prostitution and allowed pornography. Prostitution has been a part of American history since its inception, often operating in the shadows, but sometimes openly tolerated. In the Wild West, towns like Dodge City and Deadwood were notorious for their red light districts, where saloons and brothels thrived. The infamous Everly Club in early 20th century Chicago epitomized the glamorized yet gritty world of high-class prostitution. With the advent of the internet, pornography and platforms like OnlyFans entered the mainstream, transforming into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Cities like Las Vegas became synonymous with adult entertainment, where prostitution, though illegal, was often overlooked. The normalization of pornography has raised concerns about exploitation and its impact on societal values. While it has provided a platform for sexual expression and freedom, it has also sparked debates about addiction and ethical considerations. Number 3. Drug use. Drug use has been a persistent issue in American history, from the opium dens of the 19th century to the crack epidemic of the 1980s. The 1960s counterculture embraced drugs like LSD and marijuana, seen as tools for expanding consciousness, but also leading to widespread addiction and legal battles. The war on drugs, declared by President Nixon in 1971, aimed to curb drug abuse, but often disproportionately targeted minority communities, leading to mass incarceration and long-lasting societal impacts. The opioid crisis of the 21st century, fueled by the overprescription of painkillers, has devastated communities across the country. Pharmaceutical companies driven by profit downplayed the addictive nature of these drugs, leading to widespread addiction, zombie cities, and countless deaths. This crisis highlights the intersection of corporate greed, inadequate regulation, and public health, showing how the dark side of drug use continues to affect American society. Number 4. Geography and infrastructure. Geography in America has often been a tool for segregation, with redlining practices in the 20th century creating racially divided neighborhoods. The Federal Housing Administration's policies excluded African Americans from obtaining mortgages in predominantly white areas, leading to the development of impoverished, segregated communities. These policies entrenched racial inequalities, with lasting effects on education, employment, and wealth distribution. The concept of sundown towns, where African Americans were not welcome after dark, further enforced segregation. These towns used intimidation and violence to maintain racial purity, reflecting the deep-seated racism that permeated American society. Even today, geographic segregation has long-term impacts, contributing to ongoing disparities in health, wealth, and social mobility in some parts of the country. Due to the concentration of many residents in some cities, there is a huge problem of waste management and infrastructure problems. There are trash bags and dirty smells all over crowded areas like New York. Geography has had a very long-lasting impact on America, Number 5. History of inequalities. America's history is marked by inequalities, particularly along racial and gender lines. The institution of slavery, which persisted until the Civil War, dehumanized millions of African Americans, treating them as property and subjecting them to brutal conditions. The legacy of slavery continued with Jim Crow laws, which enforced racial segregation and disenfranchised Black Americans well into the 20th century. Women, too, faced significant barriers, with the right to vote only achieved in 1920 and ongoing struggles for workplace equality. The civil rights movement of the 1960s brought significant progress, but systemic inequalities remain entrenched, affecting education, healthcare, and criminal justice. The fight for equality continues, highlighting the enduring struggle against discrimination and injustice. To date in the USA, many face racism problems. Number 6. Violence with guns. Gun violence has been a pervasive issue in America, with a cultural attachment to firearms rooted in the Second Amendment. The Wild West era romanticized the gunfighter, while the Prohibition era saw a surge in organized crime and gun-related violence. High-profile assassinations, such as those of President John F. Kennedy and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., shocked the nation and underscored the deadly impact of firearms. Mass shootings have become disturbingly common in recent decades, from the Columbine High School massacre in 1999 to the Las Vegas shooting in 2017, where a lone gunman killed 58 people. These tragedies have sparked intense debates over gun control, with deep divisions between advocates for stricter regulations and those defending the right to bear arms. Despite numerous efforts, gun crimes regularly occur to this date. Number 7. Global control via military and money. America's global dominance has often been maintained through a combination of military power and economic influence. The 20th century saw the United States emerge as a superpower, with military interventions in countries like Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan, aimed at maintaining geopolitical stability and protecting economic interests. These conflicts, often controversial, highlighted the complex motivations behind American foreign policy. Economic influence is wielded through institutions like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, where American financial power shapes global economic policies. Critics argue that this economic dominance often perpetuates inequalities, benefiting multinational corporations at the expense of developing nations. The pursuit of global control through military and economic means reflects America's complex and sometimes contradictory role on the world stage. America is infamous for showing double standards in many parts of the world. Number 8. Las Vegas, addiction economy. Las Vegas, known as Sin City, epitomizes the darker side of American culture, with its economy built on gambling, entertainment, and vice. The city's history is intertwined with organized crime, with mobsters like Bugsy Siegel playing pivotal roles in its development. Casinos, often fronts for money laundering and illegal activities, became the backbone of the city's economy. The chance of instant wealth draws millions of visitors each year, but the reality often includes addiction, financial ruin, and broken lives. The city's relentless focus on profit leads to a cycle of exploitation, where the vulnerable are enticed to gamble away their savings. Las Vegas symbolizes the extremes of American capitalism, where the pursuit of pleasure and profit often comes at a significant human cost. Las Vegas takes all possible steps to make you lose your control and become addicted to flashy lights, party environment, prostitutes, gambling, and even any small details. This city is a modern example of an addiction economy. Number 9. Cinematic influence. Hollywood has played a significant role in shaping American culture, but its influence has not always been positive. No doubt Hollywood has always been the best entertainer, but that can't hide the dark side too. The film industry has a history of exploiting actors, with the studio system of the early 20th century treating performers as commodities. Scandals involving drug abuse, sexual exploitation, and corruption have downgraded the industry's image. The content of Hollywood films has also been a source of controversy, with depictions of violence, racism, and sexism reflecting and reinforcing societal issues. The portrayal of minority groups often perpetuates stereotypes, contributing to cultural misunderstandings and discrimination. However, conditions are getting better and better. Hope there is definitely a positive change in today's American Hollywood. Number 10. America's fashion. American fashion has had an impact on global style, with icons like Ralph Lauren and Calvin Klein setting trends worldwide. However, The industry is often criticized for promoting unrealistic body standards and perpetuating consumerism. Fast fashion, in particular, raises concerns about environmental sustainability and labor exploitation. From the flapper dresses of the 1920s to the high fashion of New York's runways, American fashion has evolved significantly. While it continues to influence global trends, it also faces challenges related to sustainability and ethical production. The industry's focus on profit often comes at the expense of workers' rights and environmental health, reflecting the darker side of fashion. Even fashion styles have changed to become more and more comfortable, and revealing some argue it's giving more freedom and personal choices, while others see it as a problem. Number 11. America's food. American cuisine is incredibly diverse, reflecting the nation's melting pot of cultures. Innovations in food technology and agriculture have made American food a staple worldwide. However, the American diet is often criticized for its reliance on processed foods and fast food, contributing to widespread health issues like obesity and diabetes. From the traditional dishes of indigenous peoples to the fast food revolution of the 20th century, American food culture has undergone dramatic changes. Industrial farming practices raise concerns about animal welfare and environmental impact, highlighting the complexities of feeding a nation. This video shows a darker side of American history and modern problems. We hope for improvements in the future. If you like watching such videos, don't forget to subscribe by clicking on the right circle. And if you want to see more, check the left video.